how does that relate to like careers and lives and families and doing all the things that we do? It relates because we don't always know what we're truly here to do. We don't clearly define what is our purpose, what is our personal legend, what is the thing that you are pursuing. And as you think about like going into a new year, and like we do these New Year's resolutions, like this is what I'm going to change. But I think the reason why we're chasing this change is because we don't necessarily know where we want to go. And when you start to dissect what this all means, you start saying, I need to be able to clearly articulate what my purpose is. Good afternoon. Welcome to the None Size Fits All podcast. My name is John Bowler, co-founder of Grid Consulting. Today, we're going to be talking about your personal legend. We're going to be talking about your personal legend, what it means, where does that crazy term come from, and how it relates to you and your business life, your personal life, and everything that you do. So I was recently out with a couple friends, and the discussion came up about a book that I had recommended to a friend. The book's called The Alchemist. It's by an author from Brazil named Paulo Coelho. And he basically said like, hey, I want to talk about it. I really enjoyed the book. It's a fast read. It gave me a lot of depth and it gave me a lot of kind of like questioning of like, what is my purpose? So the story of The Alchemist is the story of a young boy. He's living in a community, and he starts to kind of say like, what am I here for? What am I doing? What is my true purpose? This idea of purpose really centers around this kind of story of your personal legend. Your personal legend is the why. Like, why do I go out and work so hard? Why do I grind? Why do I make that extra call? Why am I taking meetings late at night? Why am I taking risk? The personal legend this boy is starting to pursue is he decides, I'm going to leave home. I'm going to leave the safety net of my friends and family that I've lived around forever. And it follows him, and he starts going out and he's exploring, like he's chasing this understanding of what am I doing here? And as he's chasing this journey, he has all these milestones, and these milestones are at times he thinks, okay, this is what my personal legend is. But really these kind of milestones just lead into him pursuing a much bigger, broader dream, this dream of why am I truly here? So The Alchemist, the title or the concept of alchemy is this idea of turning rocks into gold. And it ends up I don't think this ruins the book, but the young boy decides that he's going to pursue alchemy. He's going to pursue this concept of turning rocks to gold. So he starts chasing this, and what he learns along the way is that there's all these things that start working towards you when you're pursuing your actual personal legend. When you're pursuing the thing that you're meant to do, the world starts to guide you and speak to you and tell you what you actually are meant to be doing. There's this moment that spoke to me as I was reading it recently as well. And it talked about like this idea of being awake, being aware, paying attention to what's around you. And the basic premise is that if you're awake, the world will tell you what to do. The world will actually start to work with you. It talks about this concepts of omens. And when you're awake, the omens are around you every single day, and they actually will tell you what to do. And that'll actually correspond with you going after your personal legend. So how does that relate to like careers and lives and families and doing all the things that we do? It relates because we don't always know what we're truly here to do. We don't clearly define what is our purpose, what is our personal legend, what is the thing that you are pursuing. And as you think about like going into a new year, and like we do these New Year's resolutions, like this is what I'm going to change. But I think the reason why we're chasing this change is because we don't necessarily know where we want to go. And when you start to dissect what this all means, you start saying, I need to be able to clearly articulate what my purpose is. Is my purpose something vague? To have success? Is my purpose to have my best year? Is my purpose to make my family happy? Yeah, that's totally great. Those are fantastic goals, but that is not what your personal legend is. Your personal legend is being able to articulate and clearly define what that all means. If it's going to be my best year, I need to be able to say, I'm going to sell X number of homes, X number in volume. I'm going to add 13 people. Those 13 people are all going to be successful. I'm going to be able to save $70,000 and put it away for my kids' investments for college. Like I need to be able to articulate my personal legend and say, this is what my purpose is, and then clearly define what that all means and how I'd actually be able to validate and say it actually happened. We often pursue this personal legend of great or good or best, and that is not going to get you to where you want to go. That's not being awake. That is simply just goal setting. So my friend, we start doing this exercise and it works because you start to ask like why and how and what does that mean? And you start to dig in even further. And really what you're doing is you're creating a roadmap to go after and pursue your personal legend. My personal legend was just this. When I moved to Seattle, my personal legend was only one chapter, one stepping stone to me actually pursuing what it is that I was meant to do. And the first chapter was I wanted to make my parents proud. My parents paid for us, the three of us boys, college. That was their goal. That was their personal legend. That was ultimately that was one piece of what success looked like. And for me, I never wanted to have to call home and say, hey, can I get some money? Because I can't afford rent or whatever it was. The personal legend started to change. And really it was, like these things that I started learning along the way was those omens, the stuff that started speaking to me and telling me what I needed to do. And I remember there's a moment where I was totally terrified of public speaking. And I was forced in Orange County to get up in front of a group of people. And like every single month I needed to speak. That was one step. And now I'm like doing this podcast and just, doing this every week. Like my personal legend is to be helpful. My personal legend is to impact people's lives. My personal legend as it relates to real estate is help people make more money with their investment. But when I start thinking about my own journey, yes, someday that will be a family. Someday that will be a little more of a slow lifestyle. But really what it is about this for me is this is about helping, being useful, being a person that can help people achieve their goals. And that has become what my purpose is. That is what my personal legend is. And how far that goes, I do not know. But when I think about each person that I interact with on a daily basis, it's always critical to have this personal legend that you're pursuing, that you're chasing, and being able to clearly articulate it. Because if you can't articulate it, then no one's going to be able to articulate it. So we start getting into that granularity and we start to say, this is truly what I'm pursuing. If it's a broker and I want to be the best in the state of Washington, why not be the best in the entire West Coast? Why not set these big goals? But then when you start pursuing those, you start to identify like, here's all the different stages. Here's how I'm going to do it. And when you're awake, the world will start to guide you even further down that path. When you're awake, the world will speak to you and it'll start telling you what to do. So the personal legend to me is about clearly being able to define what your purpose is. And if you find yourself not being able to answer that in a very articulate way, you can't answer it where people say, why, how, what. If they're saying that, it means it isn't clearly defined. And in this book, this young man pursues it and it's inspiring because in life, we get into these moments where we're letting life tell us what to do, not life telling us what to do, but rather we're just like doing, we're going through the kind of the hamster wheel and things are the same over and over and over again, but we're not truly living. We're not awake. We're not actually going out and pursuing that thing that as a young boy or girl that you're chasing, this thing of purity, this place of bliss. That's what personal legend is about. The personal legend is about being true and honest to oneself and pursuing something that is meaningful and good and that you are here and meant to do. No, that was a little heavier and deep. It's my favorite book. Paulo Coelho wrote a bunch of books about life and purpose. What's your personal legend? Why are you here? Why do you work so hard every day? Why are you achieving or why are you pursuing growth? Thank you for listening. Make sure you follow us on social media. Drop us a line with anything you want us to talk about. Have a great week. Thank you again for listening. Every week I'll be releasing fresh content, so tune in. And if it's of value, please share it with your network.